The Tasco barricades. In this overhead computerized view, you can see how the event is laid out into 4 stages, with the barricades at 10, 15, 25, and 35 yards. The shooters stand behind the 6-foot by 2-foot barricades and fire 6 rounds from each side at the Bianchi targets, in times varying from 6 to 9 seconds.
The official NRA action pistol shooting targets were designed for use in the Bianchi Cup. The target is divided into 3 scoring rings with a 4-inch center that is scored as an X. The X counts as 10 points and is also used in deciding ties. A shot placed in the 8-inch ring also scores 10 points. The 12-inch ring scores 8 points, and the rest of the target scores 5 points. A miss, of course, scores 0. 48 rounds are fired in each event, so the highest possible score is 480 points and 48 X's. John Pride is our first shooter at the barricade event. Pride is a firearms instructor at the Los Angeles Police Department and finished in 2nd place in the 1983 Bianchi Cup competition.
Pride competes regularly in police pistol competitions. In fact, he's the 1986 National Municipal Police Pistol Champion. John Pride completes the barricades with a score of 478 points and 38 X's. The officials are changing the targets here, so let's switch over to the Action Arms practical event.
Tom, in this event, each shooter fires at 2 targets in 4 stages, ranging from 10 to 50 yards, with corresponding times from 4 to 15 seconds.
Our first competitor here today is Fran Gilmore, who is one of the growing numbers of women shooters in the NRA action pistol shooting. Fran is a relative newcomer to competitive shooting.
It's exciting. I've been up here, this is, like I said, my 5th year, and I've watched from the sidelines, and every year I think, I don't know why I haven't started yet. And I used to bullseye shoot, and but I hadn't done it for about 6 years, so I decided a few months ago to try this and get started in it, because that way I'm with him more. He's at the practice range all the time. So we go together now, and it's more together time.
Fran Gilmore finishes the practical event with a score of 431 points and 17 X's. In NRA action pistol shooting, speed and accuracy are the determining factors, which makes it possible for men and women to compete on equal terms. Women shoot the same course of fire as men with no handicaps such as in golf.
Competition shooting is becoming a fun, exciting family sport, too. Right now, Fran Gilmore's husband, Riley Gilmore, is coming up on the barricades.
Gilmore is definitely the shooter to watch this year. He won the overall championship here last year and placed in the top 20 in 1985.
Gilmore owns several shooting ranges in the Tulsa area where he has perfected his innovative techniques. Although he's right-handed, watch as he transfers his pistol to his left hand to pull the trigger when shooting from the right side of the barricade. Riley Gilmore finishes the barricades with an excellent score of 480 points and 41 X's, a new record.
Tom, back over on the practical event, here's another fine woman shooter, Lorna Pavelka. She's come all the way from Canada to compete in the NRA Bianchi Cup.
You may find it hard to believe, but Lorna is a ballet instructor for elementary and high school girls. The discipline of ballet is similar to the concentration required in competitive shooting.
I do some visualization, relaxation on a regular basis, even before I started shooting, so it sort of fit right in, and try to get my confidence up. If I don't have the confidence, the visualization won't work. So I try to practice as much as I can and put them all together.
Lorna Pavelka finishes the practical event with 434 points and 18 X's. Earlier, Lenny Miguel had a chance to talk with Gary Anderson, Executive Director of Operations at the NRA, about the popularity of action pistol shooting.
The NRA is very high on the future of action pistol shooting. We think this is a game that has a lot of attractive qualities to it. It's very appealing to spectators, but it's also very appealing to people who participate. It's got precision, it's got coordination, it's got speed, it's got variety, and it's the kind of thing that we think is going to be very appealing, and we really expect it to be one of the fast-growing sports in the United States.
The NRA supports competitive shooting as well as other organized shooting activities. For more information, you can contact the National Rifle Association at 1600 Rhode Island Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Thanks, Lenny. All of the competitors' ammunition must meet certain power factors determined by the relationship of the weight of the bullet and the velocity it travels. A competition electronics chronograph is used to verify the speed of the bullet, which travels an average speed of 810 feet per second. Now, let's go back to the practical event where our next shooter is getting ready.
And that shooter is John Shaw, who finished in third place in the 1986 NRA Bianchi Cup. Shaw has mastered all firearms from pistols to shotguns. He operates his own firearms instruction school in Memphis, Tennessee, and he recently hosted a videotape about competition shotgun techniques that stresses speed, accuracy, and safety.
Let me make a quick comment about safety. One of the things that has really impressed me here at the Chapman Academy, as well as at other NRA-sanctioned events, is the emphasis on safety.
All successful shooters learn to treat all firearms as if they're loaded and always keep them pointed in a safe direction. At all NRA-sanctioned events, the range officials control the firing line and always check to see that a competitor's pistol is unloaded before he's able to leave that line.
Competitors, please show clear.
John Shaw's targets have been totaled for the Action Arms practical event, which he finishes with a score of 476 points and 28 X's. That ties him for second place with John Pride. Riley Gilmore is tied for first place with his brother Kelly Gilmore, and Wayne Umberger is third. Coming up next, the Winchester Falling Plate event as the 1987 NRA Bianchi Cup continues. Side by side from distances of 10, 15, 20, and 25 yards. Each plate scores 10 points and an X. The plates are 8 inches in diameter, the same size as the 10 ring in the Bianchi targets. If a shooter knocks down all 48 plates, he continues on to another round, but with a reduced time limit, which makes it a bit more difficult. Now, here's John Pride, who's cleaned the plates on his first 2 rounds. He's now shooting for X's, and he'll shoot until he misses. Pride cleans the plates again. In this next round, 1 second is deducted from the time to shoot each stage.
And there it is. John Pride finishes the Winchester Falling Plates with an excellent score of 480 points and 147 X's. As the officials are preparing the plates for the next competitor, let's take a look at the NRA Centerfire Falling Target event.
In the falling target event, each competitor will be firing at 6 knockdown steel targets. 36 rounds are fired with a total possible score of 360 points. This event is an optional event, and the scores do not count towards the overall championships, but they are shooting for their share of an additional $2,500 prize. Mike Dalton is one of the shooters on the firing line.
Dalton comes from Sepulveda, California, where he operates a shooting school for competition and self-defense.
Mike Dalton finishes up the falling target event with 320 points. Now, let's switch back to the Winchester Falling Plate event, where Brian Enos has already cleaned the plates twice. Here he is in his 3rd round.
Enos is one of the best pistol shooters in the country, if not the best. He won the Bianchi Cup in both 1983 and 1984 and placed 12th overall last year. Enos finishes up with a score of 480 points and 153 X's, the highest score of this event today, and just 2 X's off the record. Back over at the Falling Target event is another excellent woman shooter, Roberta Gear.
Roberta Gear is from Weirton, West Virginia. She's one of the up-and-coming women shooters and has improved dramatically in the last 5 months. This is her first NRA Bianchi Cup, and I understand she's been shooting competitively for just about a year.
Roberta Gear finishes with a score of 230 points. Back over at the Winchester Falling Plates, John Shaw has cleaned the first 2 rounds and is going for his 3rd. As mentioned earlier, Shaw is a very versatile and consistent competitor. He's the only man alive to have finished either 1st or 2nd in every major shooting competition in the world.
John Shaw finishes the Winchester Falling Plates with 480 points and 101 X's, which puts him tied for second place with John Pride. Riley Gilmore is still in first place. Ed Deacon and Vance Smith are tied for fourth. At this point, it's anybody's match as the shooters move on to the most difficult event, the Aimpoint moving target, when we return with more of the 1987 NRA Bianchi Cup.
In this event, each competitor shoots at a target which moves from behind a wall and travels 60 feet in 6 seconds, then disappears behind another wall. There are 4 stages at 10, 15, 20, and 25 yards. Our first shooter is the current leader, Riley Gilmore, at the 20-yard position of the Aimpoint moving target event.
If you know that you've got your gun, ammo, head, and body in the best shape it can be, well then, that's all you can do. You don't shoot against somebody else, you just shoot against what you know to be your best practice scores and come out and do it.
Gilmore drops 10 points, which is really out of character for him. Looks like he'll finish the moving targets with 470 points and 28 X's.
In a match like this, 10 points is a lot, which is going to make his first place status vulnerable to both John Pride and John Shaw, who are going to be shooting the moving target in just a couple of minutes, and they rarely miss. One of the top women's scorers here today is Lorna Pavelka, who is preparing to shoot the final stages of the Tasco Barricade event. She's shooting very well. If she remains consistent, she could be the women's champion here this year.
And that's the last round, so it looks like Lorna Pavelka is going to complete the barricades with a score of 454 points and 14 X's. That score is combined with her scores from the other 3 events for a total of 1,787 points out of a possible 1,920 points. With that, she has 88 X's. So after traveling all the way from Canada, Lorna Pavelka is the top woman scorer. Now back to the Aimpoint moving target event. Here's John Shaw at the 25-yard line.
Shaw needs a score of at least 474 points to knock Riley Gilmore out of first place. He's got his game plan working here today. Notice how smooth and steady he pulls the trigger and how little movement there is in the rest of his body.
There it is. John Shaw finishes with a score of 476 points and 31 X's.
Tom, John Shaw has just moved into first place, and you know he's got to be happy about that. But he hasn't won the cup yet. Up next is John Pride from the LAPD. He's been shooting very well today, and it's possible he could take first place away from John Shaw.
Pride needs 476 points to tie and 477 to win. One of these guys is going to win at least $10,000 cash.
You've got to hand it to Pride. He looks like he's really able to concentrate and focus his energy. He's shooting a Smith & Wesson Model 686 with a 6-inch barrel and an Aimpoint scope.
And that's John Pride's last shot. Our tabulation shows that he's got 476 points, which ties him with John Shaw for first place. Adding their scores together from the other events, John Pride totals 1,912 points and 151 X's out of a possible 1,920 points and 192 X's. John Shaw totals 1,912 points and 147 X's, so even though their points are tied, Pride has 4 more X's than Shaw, and since X's are used in tiebreakers, John Pride is the overall winner. John Shaw is second. Roger Burgess is third. Riley Gilmore dropped to fourth, and fifth place goes to Dan Miller. Lenny McGill is down on the sidelines with the 1987 NRA Bianchi Cup action pistol shooting champion, John Pride.
Yeah? Hey, thanks. You know, I mean, after all the years, as I said prior to going into this, to have the chance to be there, and whew, it's good. It feels good. You know?
I can see it in your
this is the thing, you know, all glory's fleeting, of course, but it feels good for a little while at least.
Right.
Stay with us. The best is yet to come as the fastest shooters in the world shoot off in the Colt Speed event when the NRA Bianchi Cup continues.
That's right, Tom. In this event, the top 20 finishers of the regular competition get to shoot out for another $10,000. The object is, at the sound of the tone, to draw and knock down 5 steel targets that are placed 10 yards downrange.
Our first shooters here at the Colt Speed event are John Shaw and Ross Carter.
John Shaw takes that first round with a time of 2.35 seconds. In this event, the shooters are using semi-automatic pistols in either 45 caliber, 9mm, or 38 Super. These guns are faster than the revolvers used in the regular competition.
Ross Carter tried to go too fast and misses a target, which is a fault. So John Shaw leads 2-0. Shaw wins that run with a time of 2.37 seconds, so he'll advance to the finals with last year's Colt Speed champion, Rob Latham.
Latham is from Mesa, Arizona. He's considered to be the fastest action pistol shooter in the world. Here he is in his first round against John Shaw.
Shaw wins the first round with a time of 2.45 seconds. Latham should settle in on this second run. There it is, Latham with a time of 2.22 seconds, the fastest we've seen here today. That ties it up, 1 round each.
Robbie Latham wins that round by just 3/100ths of a second. It's now 2-1 Latham. This next round could be for the $5,000 first place.
John Shaw goes a little bit too fast and misses one of the targets, which is a fault. So Rob Latham wins his second speed event in a row and his third overall.
The action pistol shooting competitions are growing rapidly and becoming more popular every year. Competitive